Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Resilience. Resilience, the ability to return to the original form after being bent or being stretched or being compressed. That's the dictionary's definition of resilience. The ability to readily recover from illness or depression or adversity. Resilience, being able to withstand setbacks, broken hearts and broken dreams, financial crisis, loss of loved ones, loss of enterprise, and loss of health. How would you ever handle it if you lost everything you had today? What would your next step be? How long would you be depressed and upset and angry? What would it take for you to pull yourself up and start all over again? How resilient are you? Could you handle it? Could you learn from all your disappointments and start all over again? What would it take? Well, number one, it would take a lot of self-discipline. It would take a lot of positive self-talk to muster up the energy to begin again. It would take a lot of concentration to block out the noise and the clutter of all the negative voices trying to get through, your negative voices, and the negative voices of others around you. It would take a lot of discipline to balance the fear and anxiety with the knowing that if you did it once, you can do it all over again. It would also take what? A lot of self-reliance. Whether your losses had anything to do with you or not, your future success has everything to do with you. It would take a lot of self-reliance to avoid blame. What's happened has happened. You would need to get on with your life and begin again. It would take a lot of faith. It would take a lot of faith and trust in God to move ahead. If you lost everything tomorrow and were gathering all the courage to try again, it would take a lot of self-appreciation, knowing that you have the skills and the talent and the strength to do it one more time. Resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity. No matter how large or how small, you lose a client, one of your biggest ones, accounts for over 25% of your gross revenues. Losing this client is going to hurt financially and emotionally. Losing this client is going to negatively affect things for a while. The first thing you do is to figure out why you lost this business. What role did you play? What part are you responsible for? You just can't rant and rave around the office yelling and screaming at those around you. Even if it was the wrongdoing of someone else, you can't act like this. It's not professional. No, you'll lose respect. Respect that's hard to regain once you've lost it. Respect of those you work with, trusted colleagues, valuable support people. You have to approach the situation rationally and figure out how to bounce back from your loss. You have to evaluate the situation and then start a plan to recapture the lost business. Increase your market share with other businesses. Network with associates to bring in a similar client or a larger one. You can't sit back and dwell on what's happened. No, you've got to get back into the marketplace and recapture what's been taken from you. Get back at it and replace what's gone. Now maybe your loss is a personal loss. Death of a loved one, divorce, loss of a very special friendship. If your loss is a deeply personal one, you must approach the situation a little differently. You must be patient with yourself and give yourself time. Time to grieve, time to mourn, time to regroup. The stages we go through in loss, be it death of a loved one, death of a relationship, or death of an enterprise, the stages we go through are beautifully defined in Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's book, On Death and Dying. If the death is a literal one or a figurative one, the stages are the same. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And only by going through these stages and reaching acceptance can we rebound and begin again. It's said that children are often more resilient than adults. Why? Well, maybe it's because they don't evaluate their current situations based on past experiences. They approach it in a fresh way, a new way. And in their own minds, they deal with loss much better than adults. Children who grow up in the unfortunate circumstances of poverty or abuse or neglect, children who grow up in these conditions and become successful, are known as dandelion children. Because if they can succeed and prosper with terrible conditions, they can grow anywhere. It's important to be more like a dandelion child, to be able to grow and prosper and succeed despite our current conditions, to be able to grow and prosper and succeed despite our losses, to be resilient. Cultivating a resilient character turns what others would call failure into success. A resilient person won't give up. A resilient person will, in spite of all obstacles and setbacks, keep doing it until. In their book, The Resilient Self, Stephen and Sybil Wolin have studied the characteristics of resilience and have found 7 key skills which comprise it. To build a resilient character, you must have, number 1, insight, the ability to ask tough questions of yourself and be honest with your answers. If you had something to do with your loss, be honest and responsible for it. Number 2, resilience is independent. A resilient person counts only on themselves to bounce back into life. Number 3, although resilience is independent, it's also tied to others. The more people you are responsible to, the greater the motivation to begin again. The stronger the reason, the stronger the action. The 4th component of resilience is initiative, the ability to take charge of the situation, the ability to take charge of the problem, the ability to stand up and do whatever is necessary to get back on course. A resilient person is, number 5, creative, being able to look at the situation and creatively determine the best way out, to look for solutions, to be enterprising in your approach towards starting over. A resilient person has humor. Number 6, a sense of humor. They may cry till they start laughing, but a sense of humor is so important when turning your life around. You've got to take your ambition seriously, and you've got to take yourself seriously, but you've also got to be able to laugh at yourself sometimes. Your situation. Somebody says you'll look back on this and laugh someday. Well, maybe today is the day to start. A sense of humor, number 6. And here's the last one, morality. Whatever you do to get back on your feet, whatever you do to bounce back into life, make sure it's moral. Make sure that your upcoming success is at the service of others, not at the expense of others. Success, if it is yours to keep, must be at the service of others.